Welcome back to Seifbuys. I'm Saif, and today I wanted to walk you through my experience upgrading my entire Sonos setup from the Sonos Ones as my rear surrounds over to the Sonos Era 300s, from the Sonos Arc to the Sonos Arc Ultra, as well as the Sonos Sub Gen 3 to the Sonos Sub 4. This is my experience as just an average consumer who really likes immersing himself in the content he watches. So I'm going to talk about my experience watching the greatest movie of all time through this speaker system, both before the upgrade and after. I'm going to talk about my gaming experience with this, whether I think this sound system is better than using gaming headsets. We're also going to talk about why I think Sonos is not just the best sound system for most people, home theater sound system for most people, but I also consider it the best value, and that's why I went with Sonos. And I'll explain the justification behind that, because there are ways that if you are upgrading your current Sonos setup that you could save considerable amount of money when you upgrade. We'll talk about that, but the main thing I wanted to do with this video is give you my perspective as someone who's not an audio engineer, just someone who loves watching movies, loves playing games, and loves immersing himself in the content, like I said. So if that interests you, that's what this video is. I will front load the conclusion here to what I personally would have wanted to know, like most immediately as someone with an existing Sonos setup. Which of these upgrades is the most worth it? In my experience, it's a no-brainer for me, at least personally, that the Sonos Era 300s as your rear surrounds is the most essential upgrade out of all the upgrades we're going to talk about. It's going to make the biggest difference, and that's whether you're coming from currently having two Sonos Ones as your rear surrounds or two Sonos Era 100s. In which case, if you did that, you probably did that more recently, and so you probably wouldn't want to be upgrading. Regardless, I can say that the upward firing drivers, as well as just how beefy this is and the amount of sound it outputs, makes a large difference with these being your rear surrounds versus just the Sonos One or the Sonos Era 100s. Not that I've tried the Sonos Era 100s, I just watched video reviews and it was pretty conclusive that the Sonos Era 300s were worth it, and I can confirm that as an average user. The biggest difference when I'm testing this out, I can turn off the sub, I can turn off the Arc, and I can just use these as my rear surrounds with the Arc, and I can tell you that it'll immerse you more. You'll notice that the sound is more spatially around you, like on the visuals that they provide on the website, you know how the sound waves are sort of hitting you from all angles. That is an accurate depiction of what the Sonos Era 300s add. And the least essential upgrade, I would say, is a sub in general. Like, having a sub is nice, but to me, in terms of immersing me in the whole sound experience, the sub is the thing I could do without. And that's just as someone who's in a condo here. It's not that big. It's a 1 bedroom, 1 bath. Like, I'm literally in my living room right now. Like, my desk is here, the TV's there. You can see one of the Sonos Era 300s here in the back. Can you see that? It's like right here. This is a pretty small place, and I will say that the bass adds some depth to it, but not so much as the surround effect provided by having two rear surrounds as well as a Sonos Arc or Sonos Arc Ultra as your main speaker at the front. That's on the case of immersion. That is the most essential upgrade. Can you use these Sonos Era 300s as their own standalone speakers, and are they great in that regard? Yes, they are, but once I set them up in my home theater setup, I'm not going to keep setting them into my system and removing them out. It's not that easy or straightforward in my experience. So I just set these up in my home theater system, and that's what I've been using them as. I can play music through the entire Sonos theater system as well, and you can do that through Bluetooth or through the AirPlay or directly through your TV, and it works great in all of those regards. But I don't really listen to music through the system all that often. For me, it's mainly watching movies, playing games, and that's the experience I'll talk about here. Now, the second most essential upgrade, I would say, is upgrading from the Sonos Arc to the Sonos Arc Ultra. But if you don't have a sub, I would add a sub before I would upgrade my Sonos Arc to the Sonos Arc Ultra. The sub will add more to your experience than upgrading from a Sonos Arc to a Sonos Arc Ultra would in general, I would say. What does the Sonos Arc Ultra add here? I took this opportunity, by the way, while I was upgrading to just upgrade everything to white. And that's one of the main benefits of Sonos in general, I would say, is there's not that many home theater surround sound setups that offer their systems in different colors. And let me talk about the bass. Upgrading from my Sonos Sub Gen 3 to the Sonos Sub 4 was the most unnoticeable upgrade, I would say. And that's pretty much what you'll find other reviewers saying as well. That's just because there's not much of a difference. It is lighter and it is matte. I don't really like the glossy coating, and the other one, like, it gets scratched up really easy, especially the black glossy one. It gets scratched up really easily, fingerprints really easily. Personally, like, even though I'm not touching the thing, it gathers dust really easily as well, like the black color. That's why I upgraded to white. But overall, the Sub 4 based on professional reviews, it is more in line, like it is better suited for the overall new Sonos system. And that's Peter P, by the way. He's another YouTuber. He's like an audio engineer or something. So according to his tests, it does sound better. To me, I couldn't tell the difference when I was switching between my Sub 4 and my Sub Gen 3 watching content. If there is a difference, it's really not that noticeable. Now let's talk about upgrading from the Sonos Arc to the Sonos Arc Ultra. Now, the only reason I would upgrade from the Sonos Arc to the Sonos Arc Ultra is if you think that the Sonos Arc is lacking in terms of vocal clarity, for example. If you feel the vocals aren't there. Wanted to add one thing regarding the speech enhancement on the Sonos Arc Ultra itself. I tested it out while watching the 1999 Matrix movie. Basically, when you turn on that speech enhancement and you turn it on high, a lot of the music in a lot of the fight scenes, and you know when they're walking down the city and they talk about the woman in the red dress, a lot of the music and oomph of that experience is gone when you use the speech enhancement on the Sonos Arc Ultra, at least in that specific movie. Regardless of if I was using it on medium or high, low was a little more manageable, but I do recommend, if you are going to do speech enhancement in general, hopefully you have an Apple TV 4K, and through the Apple TV 4K you can, in a much cleaner way, do speech enhancement as well as reduce any loud sounds. I would first opt for the adjustments through the Apple TV 4K, which has a much stronger processor in all likelihood and a much better understanding of the content that's being streamed than the Sonos Arc or Sonos system does in general. That's an entire wild guess there, but that's been my experience watching the Matrix movie. I can tell you that the speech enhancement on the Apple TV 4K was a lot cleaner and a lot less harmful to the original audio of the movie than it was when I was using the Sonos Arc Ultra speech enhancement. So just a note there, probably won't make a difference if what you're listening to is like YouTube or podcasts, but if you are listening to a movie, I believe it does make a substantial difference in the overall experience of the movie's soundtrack. Drop a comment below if you agree or disagree with that. I haven't seen anyone else mention it to this degree, but it was super noticeable watching the Matrix movie. Like, the music just was virtually non-existent in a lot of those scenes when I had speech enhancement turned on to high on the Sonos Arc Ultra. Or actually, like, I had it all, like the living room set up as a whole, and I had speech enhancement turned on, but through the Arc Ultra being the main driver, and that's what I experienced. So through the Apple TV 4K, you don't run into any issues. It's a lot cleaner. Highly recommend that. And the Apple TV 4K, it's got a lot of useful features in general, I believe, that outdo even the newest of smart home navigation systems. Apple TV 4K represent. Drop a comment if you're an Apple TV 4K user, or you feel like you're lacking some immersion from the front side. This one has more speakers, I believe, the Arc Ultra, and you can feel it in terms of the increased level of immersion as well. I was using the Era 300s with the original Arc before the Arc Ultra came out, and what I can say is there is a slight increase, I would say, like non-scientific here, maybe a 10% increase in my sense of immersion in the content and sense of the sound coming from all around in the room, going from the Arc to the Arc Ultra. Now, obviously, is that worth the full asking price of the Arc Ultra? No. If you currently have an Arc, I would definitely say maybe try and sell your Arc. Like, only if you're able to sell your Arc for a decent price and maybe you're able to get a discount on your Arc Ultra, would I do that? Otherwise, I wouldn't do the upgrade. And let me tell you right now, since we're moving into this, how I managed to not pay full price for this whole upgrade experience. Alright, so while I was filming, I noticed actually that a bunch of the Sonos products are now on Black Friday 20% off sales. So despite everything I'm about to talk about regarding how you can save money on this, the Sub 4 is 20% off on Sonos' website and on Amazon. The Era 300s are 20% off. I believe the Era stands are not. The Sonos Era stands from Sonos are not 20% off, but you have a bunch of stands on Amazon that you can also check out for the Sonos Era 300s as your rears. Sonos Arc Ultra is also not on sale as of time of filming this, so that's the deals currently. You get 20% off your Sub 4. And yeah, so just be mindful of those Black Friday deals. I'll put links in the description if you want to support the channel by using those. Costs you nothing extra, helps give a kickback to the channel, help it become more than what it is today. And now on to other ways you can save money outside of Black Friday on all these Sonos products. Number one, I got 15% upgrade credits on Sonos's website. So if you buy directly from Sonos's website versus like on any other retailer, Sonos recognizes that you have made previous purchases and they will give you 15% upgrade credits, discounts on basically whatever next system upgrade you want to do without having to return that system. So it's not like you return it and you just get 15% credit. You literally keep your system, go sell it however you want to sell it, or put it in another room or whatever, and you'll get 15% off your next purchase from Sonos. And so those stack. So if you bought your sub from there, you bought your ARC from there, you bought your rear surrounds from there, each one of those will basically take 15% off each next purchase. You'll see it in your profile on Sonos's website. And then if you don't see it, try contacting their sales team. And their sales team are really helpful and they'll guide you through whether or not you're eligible for the upgrade credits and whether or not you can get that 15% off since you already purchased the product from them. And I'm not sure, by the way, if this is limited to just if you purchase from them. I know it's just more seamless if you did purchase from them. You could ask their sales team if you bought it on Amazon or whatever not that long ago and you give them the invoice and something, maybe they will allow you to get a 15% credit on their website. So definitely something to check out with Sonos. I'll put a link to Sonos's website in the description. Feel free to check through there. All right. So we talked about how you can get 15% upgrade credits. Now, what's the second best thing that makes Sonos the go-to option for me? It's that they hold their value pretty well. So I bought my current Sonos setup about, 3 or 4 years ago now. That's the Sonos ARC, those Sonos Ones rear surrounds. And those I was able to sell, even the Sub-Gen 3, like within a week or two of posting them. They pretty much sell out immediately, at least here in Toronto, like a well-populated city. You're able to sell it for at least half of what you bought it for, if not more, like 60% of what you bought it for or something like that. And I'm not sure that there's other systems out there that would be as easy to find buyers for as the Sonos system, because the Sonos is entirely like you can upgrade it piece by piece, right? I can get one Sonos Era 300, then get another from somewhere else. These are also standalone products, right? Like you can get a Sonos ARC and this can be your entire surround sound setup. It can just consist of a single Sonos ARC. So like Sonos has this modularity to them that makes their secondhand ecosystem, like of people buying and selling, a lot more easy to deal with, a lot more easy to find a buyer, a lot more easy to extract as much value remaining from your product as possible. And that's something I consider when I'm buying any product. One thing I will say for sure is your Android versus iPhone. I'm sorry, Android users, but it is a lot easier to sell an iPhone on Facebook Marketplace, and you get a lot more back for your iPhone than you do for your Android in my experience. And that's my experience between iPhone and like a Google Pixel phone, for example. There's not as many buyers that are willing to pay as much for an Android phone as there are for iPhones. And that is the same case I find with most home theater systems versus the Sonos system. And obviously I can't say from like direct experience. What I can say is I searched like in Facebook Marketplace for other home theater systems like the Sonos Quad system. Like there's a lot of cool home theater systems out there. I just don't think as many of those will hold their value for as long or as surely as the Sonos products will. So that's another consideration there that I haven't seen a lot of people really talk about on YouTube. And of course, like I said, the ability to go white in a living room, since the walls are white blends a lot more easily with most backgrounds. Of course, if you've got the whole black setup going, my original system was entirely black. I find dust is more visible on black versus white. And also I just wanted, since I was upgrading everything and I was spending, additional money, like even though I'm getting discounts and I'm selling my old stuff, you're still spending money, right? So I wanted to feel like I got something new. So I just went with white. And I do like the color, to be honest. The white looks really sleek and clean. And I feel like even if I upgrade my place, I'll probably go with a more white theme overall for the place because it makes it look more bright. And over here, we are actually one level underground. So this is kind of like a basement situation right now is what we're in. So consider that. We talked about the Sonos Era 300s being the most worth it upgrade as your rear surrounds. That's the first thing I would upgrade. We talked about the ARC to the ARC Ultra being the second most worth it upgrade, but that's only if you already have a sub. If you don't have a sub, then I would add a sub to my system before I would upgrade my ARC. So we got more of it in view here. I don't know if you can see, but the Sonos ARC Ultra is a little longer and a little shorter width-wise, but I would say the only real obvious difference is that it's slightly longer. It's also got a whole new touchpad here. Honestly, I don't know who's manually adjusting the stuff on their soundbar itself, but it's nice, like it looks sleek. I wouldn't say I prefer one over the other in terms of that. The main benefit I'm noticing is number one, changing the color to white. I like the white color, it just feels new. Also the fact that it's lighter. I just like that it's lighter and it's producing more sound at that. So somehow they made it lighter and it's producing more powerful sound and has more speakers and drivers in it and stuff. That's the main difference here between the Sonos Arc and the Sonos Arc Ultra. I think, like, if you saw these two side by side, I don't think you're gonna be like, oh, the Arc Ultra looks way better than the Arc or anything like that. I think they're more or less on par. For sure, the Era 300s are a massive upgrade over the Era 100s or the Sonos Ones as your rears. And the Sonos Era 300s, I would say, I also bought the Sonos stands this time instead of the Sonos stands for the rears. They look very sleek. I'll try and put some images here of them, but it does look extremely sleek. I would say it's worth the asking price just because of how sleek it looks. I will say that for me, I feel like the Sonos stands are well worth the upgrade from the Sonos stands looks wise. But again, that's purely subjective, right? Another thing I will say about the upgraded systems here is that both the Sonos Era 300s as well as the Sonos Arc Ultra here have a mic mute switch. So Sonos removed Google Assistant from the Sonos Arc, but they did add a completely physical mic mute switch on the Sonos Arc Ultra as well as the Sonos Era 300s. They also added Bluetooth buttons, so you can manually pair these via Bluetooth, which you can't do on the Arc nor the Sonos ones. So adding Bluetooth, adding a physical mic switch, it's pretty good because I personally don't use the assistants on my soundbars or home theater setup, so those mic mute switches are always going to be turned on. The Sonos system, you think about it with the True Play tuning setup, it's giving you a level of immersion that some people need to like invest in ceiling speakers and stuff like that to get close to, right? You're able to do that in your condo, in your apartment, without having to drill holes in the ceilings, without having to worry about having speakers all over the place. I believe the Sonos system is relatively sleek, very premium. The unboxing experience for all these products was extremely premium. There's really not much else I can say here. And then now we can walk into my experience watching the greatest movie of all time on both the old system as well as the upgraded system. I can tell you that with me, when I'm buying new products, generally I do get giddy and I like get more excited and I enjoy the new product and it makes me want to watch more movies. It makes me want to play more video games just because I have the new system, you know? And that excitement alone and that enjoyment that you get for that period of time that you have the new system and you get in that sort of ecstasy, that in and of itself has a dollar value. I would wager to say that. So people pay for hotel rooms, people pay for experiences all the time, and what you're getting here is the experience, right? It depends on how present and in tune with yourself you are that you're able to extend the period of like, wow, like this is an amazing system. I'm really enjoying the experience here. And for me, that's generally a long period of time. Like I upgraded my monitor here, my gaming monitor, to the new LG 32-inch OLED, and I will be making a video on this if I haven't already. It just makes me want to work more, to be more productive, and not just game more, but also work more. So like there is something to be said about getting new products and it increasing your overall motivation. I don't know if there's other people like that out there. Let me know in the comments if you are. That would be interesting to know. And it would also be interesting to know who made it this far in the video, because that's something I really have no visibility into. If that's all you came here for, please drop a like on the video, subscribe if you feel like subscribing. I'm going to be making more best of videos, and these are all products I'm buying with my own money and I have my own genuine opinions on. And I find that's an increasing rarity here on YouTube. That's what I'm offering here. If you find that appealing, feel free to subscribe and join us on the journey as we try and see how big we can grow this channel. Otherwise, let's walk into the more nuanced experience details here when I was watching The Matrix 1999. And in fact, I watched the entire Matrix trilogy followed by the fourth movie, which is a highly debated topic about whether or not that's good. But anyway, let me tell you about my experience watching all of those. On the original sound system, I'm not gonna lie, okay? Like if you do not experience the upgraded sound system, watching The Matrix on the old one, it was already super immersive. If you are debating between, oh, do I upgrade my Sonos system or upgrade my TV? And your TV is like older than your Sonos system, I would upgrade my TV over the Sonos system. That of course depends on like which TV you have. Or if I don't have, for example, a gaming monitor, I would upgrade my gaming monitor or get a gaming monitor before I would upgrade my Sonos system. But if you have all of those upgrades accounted for, If you're watching this, I'm assuming you're really into tech. That's just because of how small this channel is. I can't imagine this video reaches like brand new users who this is the first video they're watching about the Sonos Arc or the Sonos system in general. So if it is, like, that's amazing, right? Like, that means this video just reached a lot of people. But in all likelihood, it's reaching people that are super into these products in general and have already watched their fair share of content on it. Watching the greatest movie of all time, like, that movie is deep. Felt like I experienced whole new levels of it, and I highly recommend you read this book here and then watch The Matrix. Tell me what you think. And if anyone actually does that, that'll be pretty crazy, because that's a big commitment there. I'm asking you to read an entire book and then watch a movie, so that'll be pretty interesting. But I will say the movie will develop whole new levels of meaning if you do read this book and then you watch the Matrix movies, especially the first one. I find the first one is the most laden with esoteric meaning all throughout. Like the bullets, everything just sounded really immersive. I did try watching Dolby ATMOS content as well. I watched Blade Runner 2049, the Ryan Gosling one, and it had the full like Dolby ATMOS, everything like that, running through my Apple TV 4K. And obviously the eARC is connected from my Sonos Arc straight into the LG C10 that I have there. It is insane, okay? Like, just even the opening credits, just like the boom, right? Of like the logo at the beginning, what is it, 20th Century Fox or like whatever. That is just an experience in and of itself, and you can tell where your money went there when you experience that firsthand. And as far as expense goes, this is a really high quality immersive setup considering how much it costs relative to how expensive systems can get out there. I watched the Mr. Who's the Boss video recently, and it was talking about like 60,000 British pound. It was even more than that home theater setup and like all that stuff. So these things can get really expensive. So considering the fact that like Sonos is able to offer these entire immersive set at like, what is it, like 2,000 to 3,000 US dollars is pretty insane, because you are getting a high level of immersion that to me feels on par with like going into a theater, right? And experiencing that level of sound. And to me, sound is definitely 50%, if not more than 50% of the experience when I'm watching something. Like, I'm more forgiving on what I'm seeing in front of me than I am on the sound, because the sound literally like it pulls you in. That's why when you wear a headset, you feel like you're locked in, right? That's because the sound immerses you. All sense of hearing is just dedicated towards whatever experience you're trying to be pulled into. Whereas looking at it is a whole different level of immersion. And I'm gonna say that I experienced, for example, the Apple Vision Pro. The Apple Vision Pro, that's a level of immersion that's insane, right? Like if you've actually watched the content that they have on there, and you can literally set up a home theater in there. But that's also very isolating. Whereas a system like this, you can share with the whole family in the room and you can just enjoy your content. So granted, the Apple Vision Pro does offer a lot more features and functions. It's kind of like a MacBook in and of itself, right? I don't know, I'm just riffing here, but what I will say is that there is a difference between the upgraded system and the old system. Subjectively, I'm just gonna say it's about 15-20% better of an experience overall on how immersed I feel in the movie. I would say 20% at least, if not more. But it's not something that's like, oh yeah, that was worth $1,000. Not unless you're like super into this stuff. Or if this is your very first purchase, I would just get the upgraded system. It's not that much more to just go fully upgraded from the first time. And I'm more of the opinion that, you know, you just buy the right thing the first time and then you hold it for as long as you can because you're enjoying the fact that you spent that much originally. Whereas if I was to buy something cheap originally, I'll always get that FOMO year after year. And this is just as a tech enthusiast, someone who always likes just convenient things around the house, things that immerse me more into content, just as someone that likes that. And that is, I imagine, most of the people watching this video, because I know I would watch this video. I know who I am. Let's talk about my gaming experience with these. Now, the gaming experience is insane, and I would say, like, don't expect to play Call of Duty with this and feel like you have an edge like you would with a pair of gaming headsets. You can buy a pair of gaming headsets and immerse yourself equivalently to this whole system to a similar degree, if not more, for a way cheaper price, I find. So getting a good headset obviously is a lot cheaper than buying a whole home surround sound system. And I would say if you're mainly thinking of competitive gaming, I would stick with gaming headsets. But if you are thinking like, I'm just going to be playing like multiplayer, like I'm going to be playing some Mortal Kombat or something to that effect with my friends here at home, like on the couch, yes, this system adds a whole new level of immersion in that regard. And I also played like Spider-Man on it and things like that, single player games, and you do really get fully immersed. And there's a lot of people out there who don't like wearing earbuds or over-ear headphones, and so having a high quality system like this also would be appealing to those people as well. To me, I just like having everything, to be honest. Some people like to spend on other stuff. This is my main thing that I like to spend on, is just technology. And I will be selling this ARC on Facebook Marketplace. I sell all old things that I don't really use. There's no reason to have it standing here in the house when someone else can be out there and they can enjoy it for a much cheaper price than what you bought it for. I don't see the appeal in hoarding a bunch of stuff that you're not going to use. So yeah, the gaming experience, guys, playing Doom on this thing was also insane. Like, you're fully in that thing. It's really something that has to be experienced. You know, I could tell you about it all day, but you won't really get the enjoyment of it till you spend the money, get it in your house, and then you plug it in and enjoy it. And to me, that's the best feeling in the world. Like, when I upgrade any of my technology product, that's what I'm chasing here. That's what this channel is. I realized I was doing that anyway, and so I just made this channel to share my opinion with you online, because I'm not trying to give you a professional review here. I'm just trying to give you a consumer review of someone who's chasing that technology high. So yeah, I don't know if I sold you on any of this, but one thing is for sure, I am more than sold on this entire new upgraded Sonos setup. I will be upgrading other stuff in this house, as well as walking you through stuff that I already have and I've been experiencing that I just haven't gotten around to making a video about. Subscribe for that. Catch you in the next video, guys. Thanks so much for watching this far. Love you guys. And if you do have any questions that I didn't answer here, I know there's a lot of videos out there that'll walk you through in-depth specs, everything like that. I'm assuming you've watched at least one or two of those videos at this point. If you have any specific questions, drop them in the comments below. This is a small channel, which means I can respond to more of your comments, and I will respond to every single comment. That's my guarantee to you, because quite frankly, there's not that many of them. That's what this channel is all about, guys. And what I will say here right at the end is that the Sonos Era 300s are a safe buy. The Sonos Arc Ultra is a safe buy. The Sonos Sub 4 is a safe buy. This is safe buys, and I will catch you on the next video, guys. Peace.